This is an alarming trend that religious freedom monitors say is turning churches and other houses of worship around the world into houses of horror. And joining me now is Commission Chairman Tony Perkins. Mr. Chairman, tell me what the world saw over the past year in terms of attacks against houses of worship.
Well, Jennifer, the situation has gotten to a point where these attacks on houses of worship have grown in their frequency. And it's concerning, where we see a lot of this happening in Europe. We see it happening globally. And it's very disheartening when you see a house of worship, which should be a place of peace, a sanctuary, a place that honors God and allows you to worship Him as you see fit. These are turning into houses of horrors as they're being targeted by people. And this is intended in many ways to discourage people from participating in their faith and exercising their faith, and has a chilling effect upon religious freedom. And so it's an issue that we have been covering very, very closely and speaking very loudly about.
Many Christians, of course, remember the attack against hundreds of Christians in Sri Lanka, Easter of 2019. Are these the types of attacks that you're talking about?
Yes, in part, we're seeing these attacks. They come in different fashions. Some may be, for instance, cemeteries or other places that are of significance spiritually. But yes, we've seen attacks in Sri Lanka. We've seen attacks in various parts of the world. In Europe, we saw them in France. We saw them in Germany. Those direct assaults are designed to intimidate and to drive people from public expression of their faith. But now there's also governments that are engaging in, it wouldn't be targeting necessarily with violence, but through regulation, restrictions on buildings, restrictions on meetings, are also in effect targeting houses of worship. So that's of concern to us as well, and is being used by some governments that are hostile to religious freedom.
You know, I mean, you kind of have your finger on the pulse of the world when it comes to religious freedom. Are you seeing these attacks being successful, these moves by the government being successful in terms of having that chilling effect, you know, people not, participating in their faith, if you will?
You know, that's a really, really good question. It's sometimes hard to quantify, but we find genuine faith knows no boundaries, and people that are committed to their faith will continue forward at great price. What we want to do in terms of the commission, and what we want to see America do, that has long stood for this fundamental human right, is come alongside those people so that they don't have to pay that great price to exercise their faith. And we were very encouraged to see this past year that the President of the United States, at his the first time we've ever had a sideline conversation where a president gathered at the United Nations and called for religious freedom and a recognition of that, and he put forth $25 million toward our recommendation that the protection of houses of worship and places that are significant to people of faith be protected.
Chairman Perkins, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you continuing to cover this issue, because it is of vast importance, not only to people around the globe, but very important to the people here in the United States as well.